Welcome to the Disneyland with Kids podcast, where we help you plan your Disneyland vacations in 30 minutes or less. Want Disneyland tips, activities, and more sent to your inbox? The Disneyland with Kids digital magazine does just that. Use code PODCAST to save $5 on your annual subscription. Visit disneylandwithkids.info/magazine to sign up. Welcome, friends. In this episode, we are talking about all the things that are coming to Disney in 2022. I'm Julie from Mom Rewritten.
And I'm Jessica from The Happiest Blog on Earth.
Jessica, how excited are you about the new year and all the great events that will be returning to the parks?
Oh my goodness, I'm pretty stoked because it feels like every time I go, things are more back to normal. And while the world around us doesn't seem so steady, that's just one of those things that we all love about Disneyland. You know, old favorites and nostalgia and all those happy feelings, which we so need.
Definitely. I love getting back into the parks. And before we chat about Disneyland and the changes that are coming to the resort itself, I want us to share first about the new project that's coming from us, Disneyland with Kids. So, Jessica, I know this is a launch that's near and dear to your heart. So please share with our listeners what's the exciting new way Disneyland with Kids co-owners are helping guests with their Disneyland vacation planning.
Yay! It's the Disneyland with Kids digital magazine. This is so special because it's the first of its kind. There has never been a Disneyland Resort magazine for guests to help tour Disneyland and get tips for their visits with kids. So we are paving the way, and the Disneyland with Kids digital magazine is beautiful, full-color, quarterly publication available for purchase now.
So how do our listeners get their copy?
It's easy. You go to disneylandwithkids.info/magazine, and it is $30 for the year, and no matter when you subscribe, you'll get access to the full year of issues. And I know you just mentioned a promo code to save a little bit on that, and that promo code is podcast.
Yes, the Disneyland with Kids digital magazine is going to be another great way for our group members to get all the important planning information in a really fun and new format. So as a reminder, you can find us here on the Disneyland with Kids podcast, but also check out the Disneyland with Kids Facebook group, which is over 30,000 members strong. And, you know, if you just can't get enough of the Disney stuff, you can also find Disneyland with Kids on Instagram and Pinterest. Okay, let's jump in now. In this episode about the things coming to Disney in 2022, we're going to cover returning events, new attractions, big changes, and more. So discussing the returning events coming to Disneyland this year, let's start with one that's happening very soon. Jessica, can you tell us what we can expect with Lunar New Year celebrations?
Yes, you can check out Disney Lunar New Year at California Adventure Park from January 21st through February 13th. And that's in 2022. And the actual Chinese New Year is celebrated on February 1st. I just love how Disney brings in various cultural celebrations throughout the year. I mean, for some visitors, this could be their first experience of this celebration and incorporating all the Asian traditions and cultures into their own life.
Yeah, I agree. I think Disney does a really great job with these events. And even though, you know, I'm not familiar with the traditional cultures and those kind of things, it seems very authentic.
It's a great way to start that exploration and the curiosity and expand those things into your life every day at home. So this year, we're celebrating the Year of the Tiger. And in Chinese culture, the tiger symbolizes bravery and confidence and competition. Tigers also represent prosperity and hard work. So you'll see a lot of the Lunar New Year decor along the parade route in Disney California Adventure and have the opportunity to join in on these traditions during your visit.
So tell us about some of those.
Okay, well, with any celebration, we've got the big three. It's food, entertainment, and meet and greets. That's the big three in my book. So let's start with food. In the past, my favorite food item from Lunar New Year has been the purple yam macaron. And then last time they had Lunar New Year, they introduced the Mickey Chinese hot dog bun.
Yes, it was just as delicious as it was adorable. And you even recreated that at home last year during the closure.
I did, and I'm always on the hunt for ways to bring Disneyland home with me. So food is available at the Lunar New Year Marketplace booths. You can buy a sip and savor pass to taste test several different Asian cuisines throughout your visit.
Okay, you said food, entertainment, and meet and greet. So tell us some more about the entertainment.
The main thing is Mulan's Lunar New Year procession. It's a parade that's performed multiple times a day. It's usually in front of Paradise Bay, and you can catch Mulan and her friends traveling through Paradise Garden parks. You've also got a Chinese dragon puppet, warriors, drummers, beautifully costumed dancers. But one thing I want parents to know is that there is a loud firecracker finale that takes some kids by surprise, so be aware of that. There's also usually a craft station, and my favorite, it's the Lucky Wishing Wall. So you take a moment to write your New Year's wishes on a Mickey-shaped Lunar New Year wishing paper, and then you hang them on the Lucky Wishing Wall for good luck and prosperity during the Year of the Tiger. So start thinking of your wishes, Julie.
I know I have to get mine written up there. And as a reminder to everybody, you do have to make reservations to go to the park. So if you're planning on going for Lunar New Year, it's really important to get your tickets, get those reservations in now.
Okay, so the last big three is meet and greets. And we've already mentioned seeing Mulan, but this year we get to see Raya from Raya and the Last Dragon. This is really cool because you're going to meet her in a setting inspired by her native land, and it's recreated in the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail area. So this is something totally new. It's not our typical meet and greet station, which is in Paradise Gardens Park. So I'm excited to see how they're going to do up the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail.
Yeah, that's exciting. I love when they add new things, and that's going to be really different. I just love that this event gets bigger and better every year, and Disneyland does this up in such a beautiful way. And really, one of the best parts about Lunar New Year is that it's included in the usual admission. All the activities, including the entertainment, will be offered during regular park hours. Then shortly after Lunar New Year ends, guests will have another big event coming, and this one's also included in the regular park admission, so there's no special event ticket required. Jessica, since you're our Disneyland with Kids resident foodie, tell us more about the next returning event.
It's Disney California Adventure Food and Wine Festival. So you'll see a similar setup to Lunar New Year with marketplaces throughout the park, but this takes on the California cuisine that you and I both love. So you're thinking fresh fruit, citrus-infused dishes, avocados, all of the best things from California, including wine from our winery regions in northern central California.
I'm already looking forward to eating my way through the park again. And I can't wait for the release of the food guide so I can just start plotting my meals now. Okay, now Jessica, are you ready for some after hours fun? I want you to tell us about the upcoming nighttime events that are going to be heading to the Disneyland Resort.
Right, so this does get a little bit tricky because we just mentioned Lunar New Year and Food and Wine, and those are happening throughout the regular park hours. You don't need to pay extra to experience those, but these are after hours events, and they are generally called after dark events. So we have Sweetheart Night, Villains Night, and Star Wars Nights. So these are after the park closes for the day, and they cost extra. You need a separate ticket for these events. So Sweetheart's Night, of course, is kind of themed around Valentine's Day. Villains Night is going to be where all of your favorite bad guys are out and about. And Star Wars Night, I mean, come on, does that really need an explanation?
Yeah, and Sweethearts Night and Star Wars Night both take place at Disneyland, but Villains Night is being held at California Adventure. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And those just sound like so much fun. I have never been to any of those evening events except for Oogie Boogie Bash. But do you have any plans to attend?
This year, no. I did actually have Villains Night tickets before the closure and ended up getting a refund on those. So had I kept them, I believe they were going to offer me an option to get that for this time. But not going to attend this time. I do want people to know a tip about those After Dark events. We have so many people in the Disneyland with Kids group who have mentioned, hey, we're already planning on going. We don't want to attend the event. How should we kind of plan our day? So like you mentioned, Sweethearts Night is hosted at Disneyland Park. Well, what we found in the past is typically on the day that a party is hosted in that park, the crowds are fewer because people think, I'm going to be kicked out early. I don't want to kind of waste my day at that park. But so many people think that we found lines to be really, really much more convenient those days. So if you are going on one of those dates and you're not going to the After Dark event, you might want to go with the hosting park. And another thing about closing early, kicked out early, yeah, generally that's what it is. But as the two of us study those park hours, we noticed that it's really usually only an hour, maybe two, that's being closed early, if that. Because this time of year, the parks generally close earlier anyway. So you're not losing a ton of park time. And then hopefully the crowds in the day are lighter for you so you can just really maximize it.
Yeah, and consider getting a park hopper where you can always move over to the opposing park. And keep in mind that about 3 hours before that event actually starts, the guests are able to come in early with that special admission ticket. So the park will start getting a little bit busier about 3 hours before the park closes. Just consider maybe hopping over to the other park if you have a park hopper. Okay, well, now there's something really big that we haven't touched on yet, and that's coming to the Disneyland Resort. So I'm going to give you a few clues. It's small, and it wraps around your wrist. They've had it successfully at Walt Disney World for many years, and it holds just about everything you need for a Disney vacation. Do you have any guesses, Jessica?
Well, I know it's the magic bands, and Julie, I was a little salty when this info first came out. But as usual, it's growing on me, and I'm looking to you, Walt Disney World experts, to show me how it's done. I think I'm most excited about unplugging more, and hopefully my magic band will allow me easier access to my tickets, my Disneyland hotel rooms, paying for food and merchandise, but I don't know if I want my kids to know about that feature.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, now where I'm stumbling a little bit on the Magic Band is that before, at Disney World, you would book they had fast passes, you would book them ahead of time. And so you just kind of had to know what time your fast pass was booked for, and you didn't have to really be on your phone. But now, using the Disney Genie, you really need to be booking those on your phone and then using your Magic Band to cash them in. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. It's not going to be as unplugged, I think, as we wish, because we're still going to have to be on our phones a lot.
Yeah, I think who knows? Maybe this is a transition into something else. We don't know. But one of the major things for me with the tickets is going to be really nice because I'm always pulling out my phone and then I'll get kicked out of the app right before you're going through the turnstiles or something. So I think this will be helpful. I'm just kind of excited to try it out. And then when you're tapping into the lightning lanes, I think that will be super convenient and not having to worry so much about your paper ticket. Of course, there is a cost to the Magic Bands, but I'm probably going to get one.
Of course you are. Of course. Okay, so we kind of touched on it. One of the newest features that Disneyland released in late 2021 is that, and it's something many guests haven't even experienced yet, is Disney Genie Plus. And Becca and Leslie, the other two co-owners of Disneyland with Kids, were able to try out the system, and they recorded a very detailed podcast about how the new system works as a replacement to FastPass and MaxPass. So be sure, if you have not listened to that, check out that podcast episode. You're going to get a lot more information about incorporating Disney Genie Plus into your next trip. Okay, getting back to some of our favorite returning attractions, what can guests look forward to seeing back in the parks in 2022?
Oh my goodness, Fantasmic, World of Color, Disneyland Forever Fireworks, and Main Street Electrical Parade.
Yeah, just when we think we've seen the last of the Main Street Electrical Parade, here it comes again. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's just one of those classics, and Disney knows it's going to draw in the crowds, but not that they have trouble filling the parks or anything. And, as we said, reservations are still required, along with your valid park ticket to enter. And tickets are only being sold online, so not at the park gate. So everybody still needs to plan ahead if you want to go and see the Main Street Electrical Parade again. And that brings me back to the California ticket offer. If you have not heard about this yet, if you're a Southern California resident, that really popular ticket deal is back in 2022. It just has a few adjustments this time. So tell us about that, Jessica.
Right. So these tickets start at $194 for a 3-day ticket. You still need to make reservations, and you can only make reservations on weekdays. That's one of the huge things that they changed about it. Your ticket that you purchase is valid from January 3rd through May 26th of 2022. Again, only weekdays, but it can be upgraded to a Magic Key. So that's pretty cool. It acts kind of like your down payment. And if you're not a SoCal resident, we still have you covered because we've negotiated some really deep discounts on tickets and hotel packages with our travel partners at Getaway Today. So all of those discounts are available. Go to disneylandwithkids.info/book and everything will come up so you can find what fits your family.
And it's always an excellent idea to purchase your tickets as soon as possible, in case Disney decides to raise prices again. So looking ahead at more of the big changes coming to the park, there have been several theme park lands opening over the past few years. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, Avengers Campus at California Adventure. But it's been a while since we've seen a major overhaul of a complete land. And I know a lot of guests might expect to see some changes in Tomorrowland, because there's always been rumors of things switching up in there, but that's not it. So Jessica, tell us which land is going to see a huge reimagining.
It's going to be Mickey's Toontown, and those changes are coming soon. I mean, they've started some changes. I don't know, something about a big building. So in March of 2022, Mickey's Toontown will be closed for the reimagineering. And I'm really excited to see this take place.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to the new rides that's going to be there. And it looks like they're adding a lot of grassy space. And that's always welcome when you have little kids. There's not a lot of places for families with toddlers to let them out of the stroller and just kind of play and run around. So I think that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and I think some people are concerned about which rides are leaving, which rides are coming. We don't know all of those details exactly yet, but we do know the new attraction, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, is coming with the reopening of Toontown, whenever that may be. And that did not take out anything that we're used to seeing. That just took out office spaces, so we didn't visit those. So we've got that coming, and then there will be some changes to some of the attractions in Toontown, but we don't know exactly yet, except for, like you said, some grassy, unplugged kind of fun areas to run around. Oh, and didn't they have a water play feature in the concept art?
I seem to remember seeing something like that, which would be great because they really don't have any spots like that anymore.
Right. That would be so much fun. It just seems like this is going to be the perfect place for the Disneyland with Kids community to hang out.
And it's always been one of those spots where it's kind of hit or miss because it's so far in the back of the park that people kind of forget about it. So I'm hoping that'll give it a little bit more of a vibrant atmosphere and people will make point to get there instead of, only if they have time.
Right.
Okay, so with that area closing very soon to begin the transformation, if seeing Toontown now is important to you, it's best to book that trip. As we said, they're closing it in March. So, book your trip with our partners at Getaway Today. And as Jessica mentioned, we'll have the link shared in our show notes as well. So let's take a step outside the park gates and discuss some of the changes that are coming around the Disneyland Resort as well. The Downtown Disney District has recently opened a few new shops with a few more coming. Are there any other changes happening around the Disneyland Resort?
Yeah, so Downtown Disney is kind of always getting refreshed with new tenants. We have a soccer shop there and a new virtual reality shop. But there's a big change coming to the way end of the Disneyland Resort, which is the Disneyland Hotel. They are getting a DVC tower, which stands for Disney Vacation Club. We have a DVC membership. Well, I don't, at the Grand Californian. And then this is really big in Florida. They have a ton of DVC properties. You also might have heard of Aulani in Hawaii. But this is big news coming to Disneyland because I believe when the Grand started theirs, it sold out really quickly. I wasn't following as closely at that time. But I'm thinking this Disneyland property is going to sell out really quickly, and I'm priming the pump here at home. I'm like, yeah, look at that's where they're building it. And people say that it's kind of like a timeshare, but it's better. So yeah, I don't know. Any tips anyone has, just let me know and I'll slip those into conversation.
Good luck with that, Jessica. Not one of us of our co-founders, not one of us are DVC members, but I bet all of us would love to be. Okay, is there anything else that you can think that guests visiting Disneyland this year should know?
Yeah, so for 2022, we have the return of the D23 Expo, and that is Disney's fan club, and it's hosted at the Anaheim Convention Center. It is coming in September. So those are just some dates to keep an eye on as far as hotel prices, even if you're not going to the D23 Expo. The Expo is a ton of fun. I love it. Not something that I've taken my kids to because there's just kind of different ways to do the Expo, but keep an eye on those dates if you're trying to go in the beginning or middle of September. But you're not, because the best time to go in September is September 15th through 18th. And that is because we are having the first ever Disneyland with Kids meetup. And Julie, you're coming, right?
Oh, I'm there. I'm there.
You have to be there. It's part of the job requirements. So the Disneyland with Kids meetup spans over those several days. You don't have to come to the whole thing. You could come to some things. I want to fill you guys in with all the details. So go to disneylandwithkids.info/events and we'll send everything your way. This is your family vacation with a little bit of our community mixed in. So we're not planning out top to bottom for you. We're just going to have some cool discounts, some fun meetups, some different little things to add a little more magic to your vacation, and that's September 15th through 18th, and we want to see you there.
I'm so excited to meet up with our followers. It's going to be a wonderful event. So before we wrap this up, let's answer our Would You Rather question. Since we're going to be seeing a reimagining of Toontown soon, this got me thinking about some of the other areas I'd like to see reinvented at the Disneyland Resort. So Jessica, which would you rather see reimagined? Tomorrowland or the Paradise Pier Hotel?
Oh my gosh, have you been on Twitter? Is that what's getting you talking about the Paradise Pier Hotel? People have been buzzing about that. the sad little hotel that was and never, I don't know, it needs a redo, right? We thought they were going to change it into Pixar Pier, but they haven't. They sort of did, but who knows? I think we have so many awesome hotels in the area that I'm going to pick Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland needs a little help. It's needed a little help for a while. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see what is that big building called? Tomorrowland Expo Center?
Launch Bay.
It's Launch Bay right now, but I think it's like the actual like long time whatever thing.
The one
is
that
called
used to be
Tomorrowland
Honey, I Shrunk
Expo.
the Kids, or
yeah,
Honey, I Shrunk the Audience?
No, yeah, I'm talking about Launch Bay, but it's like it's housed everything. It's housed Marvel. Yeah. It's housed Innoventions. Like it's this huge building it's being used for some backstage stuff right now. But like, my goodness, is there so much space that they could do something really cool with Tomorrowland? Yup. I really want to see Tomorrowland reimagined. All right, Julie, what about you? Paradise Pier Hotel or Tomorrowland?
I tend to agree with you. I think the Paradise Pier Hotel, as much as people would like to see it become the Pixar Pier Hotel, it's okay. It's good enough, I guess. But yeah, Tomorrowland really needs something else. That, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience building is just, there's nothing in there. And then the place where it used to be the arcade, I think they probably rent that out now for some sort of like what is it? Like a special event space and stuff. And that giant launch bay, there's so much that they could do in those spaces. Come on, give us Tron.
Yes, give us Tron. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, my son weekly asks, when's Tron opening? I'm all, you realize that's going to Disney World, not Disneyland. And then he gets all sad again every time because he's hoping it's coming to Disneyland.
That's totally my husband too. And he even asked me the last time we were there, he goes, oh, what's in Starcade? And I said, nothing. He's like, why do they still have the sign up there? I'm like, no idea. But
yeah,
I would love it if they even put an arcade back in there. That would be fun.
Something other than the few rides that are there. They really do need a refresh. And as much as I'm excited about Toontown, I think it should have been Tomorrowland.
Yeah, really interesting choice.
Well, that's it for us today. And we thank you so much for joining us. You've been listening to Jessica and Julie discussing all the things coming to Disney this year and beyond. As always, we'd love to hear more from you. So be sure to leave us some feedback, and we'll see you real soon.
Waiting on a tax return? Hopefully it ends up in your hands. Fraudulent tax returns due to identity theft increased by 30% in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Our U.S.-based restoration specialists are experts dedicated to helping solve your identity theft issues. And all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. So we'll reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. Help protect your information this tax season with LifeLock. Save up to 25% your first year at LifeLock.com/aware.